why it's coming out now is we wanted to wait, to get through all of the legal proceedings, the criminal trial, and it spans, it's, four parts, and it spans over 30 years of, pop culture, his life. So it took some time, to say the least, to put all of this together.
It's an important story, and you could just tell it with all the public material. Mm-hmm. You go further, you've gotten your hands on some extra new material people are going to see for the first time, including this video. Any journalist would want to know how you got it, but it is Sean Diddy Combs in the heat of this, right before the arrest for the trial we just discussed, in private moments, talking to his lawyer, cameras running.
He also underestimated that a lot, some of, with every celebrity, you do have different claims and some are completely unfounded. But I think that some of these lawsuits, there's receipts. Mm-hmm. And there's footage and there's voice recordings. And I think that for a man, it's also very interesting, for the culture of hip hop, so many artists record themselves, and they probably, when they were, recording themselves in 2005, never saw the year 2025 and how accessible that media would be to actually make a case for things. And
50 Cent's latest Netflix documentary premiered on Tuesday, instantly igniting social media with its unflinching exploration of Diddy's meteoric rise and dramatic fall. Packed with explosive revelations, rare archival footage, and candid insights from former insiders, the film moves at a breakneck pace, immersing viewers in a high-stakes world that was once hidden behind the headlines. The episode, part of The Reckoning, features reflections from former Bad Boy Records employees and artists, revisiting the turbulent era surrounding the deaths of Biggie Smalls and Tupac. Through commentary from rapper Mark Curry, Craig Mack's widow Roxanne Shante Johnson, and Bad Boy co-founder Sean Diddy Combs, the series examines personal experiences, long-held suspicions, and the intense pressures of the label. Their recollections reveal feelings of exploitation, a rapidly escalating East-West hip-hop rivalry, and the cutthroat ambition that defined one of music's most controversial periods, painting a vivid, electrifying portrait of an industry under fire.
Hearing from Greg Kading, the detective that worked on Tupac and Biggie's case in this documentary. He is the investigator that did that proper agreement with Keefe D way back in 2008, where Keefe D alleged that Diddy tried to offer him $1 million to take out Tupac and Suge Knight. And Tupac's trial with Keefe D is coming up very soon in early 2026. And we know that Diddy's name has been dropped at least 200 times during these proceedings.
And Puff created the atmosphere for both of those guys to lose their life.
I honestly, when I look back on it, if he trusted Sean more, it would have been better. But he didn't trust him as much as the way Sean says they were best friends after he was dead. No, I didn't see that during the time we were.
The documentary drops bombshell after bombshell, staking its claim as one of the most unflinching deep dives into Diddy's life ever released. It alleges that he is currently held at a federal facility in New Jersey, serving time related to transportation offenses, while noting that a jury dismissed several more serious charges, highlighting the tangled complexity of the case. Public scrutiny around Diddy surged in late 2023, following a high-profile civil lawsuit filed by his former partner, which triggered a wave of additional legal battles and kept his name dominating headlines. As the series underscores, these claims continue to multiply, sparking intense debate and rampant speculation. Through it all, Diddy has consistently denied all allegations, leaving the public caught in a whirlwind of controversy, legal drama, and lingering questions.
Diddy Combs have now sent a cease and desist letter to Netflix.
That's right. They are demanding it not release a docuseries featuring the embattled.
This documentary doesn't just revisit past controversies. It escalates the conversation with explosive new claims that reignite headlines and fuel fierce public debate. The filmmakers reveal rare, behind-the-scenes footage of Diddy inside a New York hotel room just days before his arrest, captured by a videographer working closely with him at the time. The clips reportedly show him conferring with legal counsel and grappling with the relentless media storm closing in, a raw, unscripted glimpse into a man under immense pressure. Framed as an intimate look at the strain and uncertainty behind his public persona, the footage stands in stark contrast to the carefully controlled image the world has come to see, offering viewers an unprecedented window into the private turmoil behind the headlines.
I'm waiting the whole time for Aubrey O'Day to reveal some major story that happened between her and Diddy. 3 episodes in, she's basically just talking about Diddy in a very general way. It isn't until the 4th episode that Aubrey reveals a witness walked in on Aubrey O'Day completely inebriated with Diddy doing things to her, as well as a second man who they refer to as a light-skinned, tall man. Details are very explicit and not anything I could share on here. This witness revealed that it was 100% Aubrey O'Day. It was really uncertain in watching Aubrey's reaction and kind of resharing this story whether or not she fully recollected the situation. He says it couldn't have been her choice to become inebriated because that was never her issue. She never really drank a whole ton. The earlier parts of this series, Aubrey does reveal these series of emails that she got from Diddy. They were all in very sexual nature, in a very sexual tone. He's basically asking her to come over and do certain things with him. It's these very domineering emails where he's basically setting the tone that he's the boss. She says that she felt very uncomfortable about those emails, and 6 months later,
It's extremely rare for anyone to speak this openly before formal charges, as conversations like these are usually shielded by strict legal privacy. The documentary contends that allowing a videographer into the room may have inadvertently exposed sensitive legal discussions, blurring the lines of confidentiality. Diddy's legal team later told NBC News that the footage was never authorized for release, and that they remain unsure how it ended up on Netflix, emphasizing that the videographer was bound by strict confidentiality agreements. They insist the material was intended to remain private, framing its public release as a serious breach rather than a deliberate disclosure.
Boy, we had gotten over CCNY. It looked like the coast was clear. We were renegotiating with Arista. We were about to get a step up in the money. I had 25% of the company. I didn't know why he needed to get that back from me and then give it back to me again. I didn't understand that. That's like a trick. Like, okay, here, I gave it to you, now give it back, and don't worry, I'm gonna give it right back to you. I didn't want to give it up. So he came into my office one day unexpected, him and Kenny Marsalis, they had it planned out. Kenny had the briefcase with all the stock certificates in it, and Diddy had the bat. Not like I'm gonna beat the shit out of you with the bat, but he had the bat like, man, we got to do this. This has to happen. I didn't feel I was gonna get beat down in that office, in all honesty. I got people that can jump out of the shadows in a minute. I wasn't threatened by him. What I was messed up over was the fact that I started this company with you from day zero, and now the one solid thing that you told me I had, you want to take that back and do a return to me on that at this critical time that we're renegotiating and getting a step up on the contract. When he told me it was about all of that renegotiating and that I should trust, I did, begrudgingly, angry, upset. It wasn't right. I did it. He got the stock back. I went on, tried to get over that, kept doing my job, doing what I had to do, delivering everything. And once again, I was caught up in the job. I forgot all about it. And next thing you know, we had the snafu. I was fired. And he just said, oh, okay, bye. And since he had never given me his stock back, he never said that he would pay me anything or give me anything. He just avoided me all these years. Not only did he avoid me all these years, running high and low, I went on and started working with Mary, who the three of us started out.
The series heightens its impact by shining a spotlight on voices from Diddy's inner circle, including former collaborators, artists, and close associates who provide candid reflections on his rise and influence in the industry. Among them is Time's alum Aubrey Day, whose firsthand account adds depth and perspective to the narrative. Her insights reveal the complex realities of working within the orbit of one of hip-hop's most dominant and influential figures, reinforcing the documentary's portrayal of ambition, control, and the intricate professional dynamics behind the scenes of a music empire shaped by both power and controversy.
Pac's money, Pac wanted to leave, and it could be some other shit that was going on, but they still created an atmosphere for that. You understand that East Coast, West Coast bullshit. When Suge was trying to use the New York guys to, okay man, come on, let's make some sense of this shit. And have a meeting and sit down with the New York guys and ask for a representative for Puff to come on. Puff was mad. You see now why Puff was mad. Everybody know now why Puff was mad. That he didn't want nobody to come to the meeting because Suge was playing Pay Daddy. Suge was in there playing Play Daddy with Justin. It's crazy. I said, well, how you gonna be mad at Misa and the East Coast, West Coast? And now we see why he was mad. We don't know if Suge sent Puff those pictures years ago. We don't know that. But that's why Puff didn't send a representative when Zipman was asking him, man, let me represent, just let me know. Nah, man, F that. They trying to get a black distribution company, a publishing company, all that, for hip-hop artists and music. Puff and Jay-Z ain't gonna have shit to do with it. And look who get rewarded behind that. So, to answer your question, I think the atmosphere that they designed and made up led to what we know was the East Coast, West Coast war. And both of them had some responsibility in that.
The series intensifies as key figures from Diddy's past step forward with revealing testimony. Singer Al B. Sure, who once dated Kim Porter, shares his observations, while former bodyguard Roger Bonds recounts experiences that, he says, exposed troubling behavior toward Cassie, reflecting how his early admiration turned to concern. Expanding the scope further, Bad Boy Records co-founder Kirk Burroughs revisits his former stake in the label, alleging that intimidation and pressure forced him to relinquish ownership, a turning point he claims triggered both personal and professional collapse. Presented as personal recollections rather than verified facts, these accounts juxtapose the massive success of the Bad Boy brand with the intense disputes, power struggles, and lasting fallout experienced by those left behind.
You say Suge looks over, he sees you? He looks right at you?
Yeah, he looks at me.
Okay. When he looks over at you, and then, Tupac's busy getting shot. Evidently, the story is Tupac's trying to either get out
in the back seat or something.
Yeah, what do you see happening inside of their car?
I seen a bullet going Suge's head. I thought he was dead.
So Orlando across Dre?
He leaned over on the window, we rolled down the window, popped. They would drove on my side, I would pop them. You know what I'm saying? But they was on the...
Burroughs later pursued legal action of his own, but the case was dismissed due to the passage of time, leaving him still entangled in ongoing legal disputes. Episode 2 then delivers a hard-hitting exploration of the infamous East Coast, West Coast rivalry, a feud that forever reshaped hip-hop. The series contrasts Death Row's powerhouse roster, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and Tupac, with Bad Boys lineup, including the Notorious B.I.G., Faith Evans, 112, and Maze. The interviews reveal a striking claim. The artists themselves were not the primary drivers of the conflict. Instead, powerful industry figures allegedly fanned the flames, escalating tensions until they reached a breaking point. Sean Diddy Combs is repeatedly cited as a central influence, echoing long-standing assertions from insiders like Gene Deal that executives, rather than performers, played a decisive role in pushing the rivalry to dangerous extremes.
I'm gonna go into details on that one. Keep it streets on me. I ain't gonna go into detail on that.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and read from the book.
Well, so let them buy the book then.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna read this passage. The shit was on. Tupac made an erratic move and began to reach down beneath his seat. It was the first and only time in my life that I could relate to the police command, keep your hands where I could see them. Instead, Pac pulled out a strap, and that's when the fireworks started. One of my guys from the backseat grabbed the Glock and started busting back. The first skin shook in the head, and I thought that motherfucker was dead. I had heard some stories, supposedly that Suge used Tupac as a shield when the bullets started flying, but that's some bullshit. Suge was already wounded, and he was the one that got touched. As the rounds continued flying, I ducked down so I wouldn't get hit.
Basically, yeah.
White Cadillac, arm came out the back seat and started letting off.
What went through your head when you saw that?
They shot my name.
2008 proper agreement, he alleged that Diddy's friend Zip Martin is the one that gave him the weapon that was used to take out Tupac. Keefe D told the investigator Greg Kading that Zip Martin had a special compartment to keep this weapon in his car that he drove to Las Vegas. And in this documentary, we have Greg Kading confirming that Zip Martin did drive the same type of vehicle that Keefe D alleged to Las Vegas this night. And then during this documentary, we heard from the former president of Bad Boy, Kirk Burroughs, who alleged during this time, Diddy had him hiring a whole bunch of people and getting cars to drive to Las Vegas. And he is now very curious into why Diddy wanted to do this. And he said, in his opinion, he now believes that Diddy was behind taking.
The documentary asserts that the Bad Boy Death Row feud extended far beyond music, evolving into what it portrays as a dangerous street-level conflict, with rival groups allegedly aligning with opposing camps tied to the labels. At the center of this web, the series positions Diddy, highlighting connections through Eric Von Zip Davis, whom Diddy once described as a family figure to Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, a name long associated with gang-related activity in New York. Drawing on recorded material and commentary from former LAPD Detective Greg Kading, the episode features Davis recounting his version of the 1996 Las Vegas shooting that claimed Tupac's life, including claims about those involved. While presented as personal accounts rather than verified facts, the documentary amplifies their impact by including interviews with Keefe D himself, layering first-hand perspectives that intensify the controversy and deepen an already explosive narrative.
That after Pac got Puffy gave Zip $1 million that was supposed to be handed over, and Zip ended up keeping it. And I remember when I interviewed TK Kirkland, who was actually roommates with Zip at one point. They were that close. He actually said, yeah.
The Fed said that too.
He said that actually happened. Well, the story that has circulated was that after Tupac got, Puffy allegedly gave the money.
I heard
to Zip.
Yes.
And Zip was supposed to give the money to Keefe and them.
Yes.
But he never gave the money to him.
But thank God he never gave him the money, right? Think about it. If he gave the money, Puffy will be in prison now, money for hire. So thank God. It's just a true story. I'm not saying yes or no, but if he would have gave them the money, it'd have been for hire and Puffy would be locked up.
The series escalates its claims as Dwayne Keefe D. Davis alleges that Diddy offered financial incentives targeting Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight, who were in the same vehicle during the notorious 1996 shooting. These assertions are presented strictly as Davis's personal account, not verified fact. He claims the promised payment never materialized, attributing it to Knight surviving the attack and the funds allegedly disappearing with Eric Von Zip Davis, who has since passed away. Framed as unproven statements, the documentary positions these remarks as yet another dark, unsettling layer in a growing web of controversy, intensifying debate and scrutiny around Diddy while highlighting the gravity and complexity of the allegations under examination.
Speaking on the situation with Biggie, how he was the one in charge of planning this London media trip for Biggie that he was supposed to be on the night that he was actually unalived. Kirk Burroughs claims Diddy is the one that canceled this trip and Biggie did not want to go out to Los Angeles. And Kirk Burroughs feels like Diddy should be responsible for what happened to Biggie. What Kirk Burroughs alleged next is what's really chilling. He said something that we have heard alleged many times. times, and he said that Biggie was actually leaving Bad Boy Records shortly before he passed away. Kirk Burrows alleged that Biggie already signed the paperwork to get out from underneath Bad Boy. Then Kirk Burrows went on to allege that after Biggie passed away, Diddy came to him and told him to change the terms in the contract that Biggie signed. And he claimed that he was so calculated that he told Kirk Burrows to just switch out the middle pages. That way on the last page, Biggie's signature would still be there. That way Diddy could allege.
Kirk Burrows claims that Diddy pressured Christopher Wallace, better known as the Notorious B.I.G., to travel to Los Angeles to promote his album despite Wallace's clear hesitation, a decision that preceded his tragic 1997 shooting. Burrows argues that this move placed the artist in harm's way and alleges that Diddy later shaped the public narrative to portray the trip as Wallace's personal choice rather than one influenced by outside pressure. Presented as allegations rather than verified fact, these claims deliver a sharp, unsettling challenge to the long-accepted version of events, injecting fresh controversy into a chapter of hip-hop history that has remained deeply sensitive and fiercely debated for decades.
To go to LA so soon, knowing that Tupac got killed 6 months earlier.
The award show season was up. We had to go out there to participate in that. We had records that were nominated. We were a budding, launching company that already launched and we were successful. We could not go. But Biggie did have an inconvenience. He had a car accident. I think it was in Brooklyn, maybe downtown Brooklyn. He had a broken femur at that time. And he was recovering from that. Big sized person, could not really sit comfortably in a plane, not even first class, with a cast on. It was uncomfortable. He was talked into going to the LA portion of the trip so that he could be out there ahead of time. He was out in LA so there wouldn't be a big rush and bustle to get him there. So I think he was out there for a good week and a half ahead of time leading into the event. So being out there, we came to follow up and to have that night. And then he was supposed to, as per Arista's marketing department, Arista, one of the best labels and distribution companies that you can have to back you, the legendary Clive Davis, who's backed so many artists, believed in Bad Boy so much, he put together a marketing campaign that was never seen before that campaign and still wasn't seen, but it was put together so that Biggie could receive an international press junket in London with all press from around the world meeting him that Saturday, Sunday after the Friday award show night. He was supposed to go on an international flight with me. We have the itinerary still to this day. He was supposed to leave that early morning, go to London, and we would be out there for 2 or 3 days, and then he would go back to New York and go home. Diddy called Sean P. Diddy, whatever his name was during that time, called late Friday night, early Saturday morning, saying he's not going to London. Call Arista, cancel it. You go. You represent it. You go. He's not going. He wants to stay here in LA.
Kirk then went on to explain that Diddy pulled the budget for Biggie's security on purpose, so he would be left undefended.
You have a budget for everything that you do. The budget for Big in LA for the award show ended that Friday night, Saturday morning, when a new budget started to get him from LA to London, where he would be taken care of with security, his friends, and everyone that he wanted to be with him in the style that he was accustomed to handle the press junket. When that didn't happen, that budget was never opened. The budget for LA ended, and there was a great need for security that Saturday night, and he was out without that security. The beef up. And we lost him. And in that decision, what it put us in, that decision put us in the worst situation that we could have ever been in. We lost our number one talent. We're on a West Coast where we're surrounded by enemies who told us not to be here. We really shouldn't have been there, but we were. Now we have to get out of there. At that time, I brought most of the company with me. I had a lot of interns, young people. I had to account for them with their parents. We had to get them home. That weekend, I think we had to get Sean out first. 1, 2, 3 steps in the trunk of a car, moving out the city limits to another airport on that flight out. I stayed until Sunday-ish or so, making sure all the interns, all the executives, every last one of the kids that was out there with us was back east. And then we had to make preparations for Big's family to know where he was at, for them to make preparations to bring him back home a week or so later.
Kirk Burrows goes even further, claiming that the bond between Diddy and the notorious B.I.G. was far less personal and supportive than the public image Diddy has cultivated for years. He asserts that the two were not especially close and that Biggie's safety was not treated as a priority, a stark contradiction to the long-standing narrative of loyalty and brotherhood. Framed as Burrows' personal perspective rather than verified fact, these statements present a disturbing counterview that challenges the polished legacy surrounding their relationship, deepening the documentary's exploration of power, image, and accountability in one of hip-hop's most scrutinized chapters.
Oh, hi, Gene. How are you?
All right, man. You know I ain't seen you since I came to your house and had that conversation with you. How you been? You all right?
I've been okay. I've been watching you on Facebook.
I'm sorry, Ms. Wallace. I'm sorry I had to do what I had to do, but you know, it is what it is.
Okay, I know you do.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Like I told people, I said, if Ms. Wallace would have called me and told me to shut it down, I would have shut it down. Ms. Wallace ain't called. She knew how to get in touch with me. If Ms. Wallace didn't tell me to shut it down, I'm going to keep doing it because I respect you, Ms. Wallace.
Do what you do.
First thing I said was, Ms. Wallace, if you tell me to stop, leave Puff, stop, no, I didn't say leave Puff. If you tell me to stop doing what I'm doing, I will. She said, no, G, I watch you. You keep doing it. You doing a good job. You, man, listen here. Yo, I was happier than one of them boys at a Diddy party. I was so happy, man, it was crazy. Cause this was the first time I had talked to Miss Wallace since the last time I talked to her and was telling her about Big's death.
Adding further weight to the controversy, the notorious B.I.G.'s mother has openly stated in past interviews that she believes Diddy may have played a role in the circumstances surrounding her son's death. She frames these comments from the perspective of a grieving parent rather than as legal conclusions. Her words inject deeply personal and emotional gravity into the narrative, intensifying public scrutiny over events that have haunted hip-hop for decades. While presented as her perspective rather than verified fact, her statements add layers of complexity to the allegations and amplify the lingering questions that continue to shadow Biggie's legacy and the powerful figures intertwined with it.
Getting into what happened with Biggie. And Greg Kading alleged that Diddy wasn't helpful at all in the investigation into what happened to Biggie. We saw a lot of different records being put on the screen where it said he did not want to give any more info at this time, and this was at the hospital where Biggie passed away. And I also noticed this document that flashed on the screen that was from investigator Russell Poole. And Russell Poole said that he called Miss Wallace to update her on the investigation and that she was frustrated and angry that no one had been arrested for her son's unaliving. After bringing her up to date on the case and explaining our frustration with the lack of cooperation from Puppy Combs, Bad Boy Entertainment, plus Biggie's own entourage's lack of further assistance in the investigation, Miss Wallace calmed down and understood the situation. Greg Kading said in this documentary he believed that Diddy did not cooperate with Biggie's investigation because it would have led investigators back to him with Tupac's unaliving. I always remember the saying that when you solve one of their cases, you will solve the other. And that's why I honestly can't wait until
Diddy has consistently denied every accusation presented in the series, and those denials remain his primary defense as scrutiny continues to mount. The documentary underscores that even a single claim gaining broader acceptance could dismantle the meticulously crafted public persona he has built over decades, exposing vulnerabilities few have ever witnessed. Framed within a cloud of uncertainty rather than settled conclusions, this moment represents a critical crossroads, where reputation, legacy, and public perception hang in the balance, with potential consequences far exceeding anything he has faced before.